So if you've been paying attention to the news at all recently, you've probably felt that collective anxiety around the Sudan red dye incident.
Oh, absolutely.
It jumped from food to cosmetics, and suddenly every headline was just screaming one word, carcinogen.
Exactly. And that panic, that immediate reaction, is what we really want to move past in this deep dive.
Right.
We're guided here by some great industry analysis, especially from platforms like Professor Lynn's, and our mission is to look beyond that panic.
Mm.
We need to talk about two much bigger issues: the fragility of the supply chain
Yeah.
and a massive failure in science communication.
And that frames the big question for us, doesn't it? Is this a domestic scandal, a regulatory failure at home?
Or is it something?
Or was this a case where Taiwan's, model students of the industry were actually the victims of a really sophisticated cross-border fraud? Let's start with that injustice.
Yeah, that's the place to start. Because what's so striking here is a level of compliance. I mean, the Taiwanese factories and brand owners caught up in this were, by all accounts, doing everything right.
They were the model students.
They really were, adhering to standards like GMP, ISO 22716, and crucially, they had all the paperwork.
And when we say paperwork, we mean the whole alphabet soup of industry acronyms.
Precisely. They had the COA, the Certificate of Analysis, they had the SDS, the Safety Data Sheet, and the PIF, the Product Information File.
So on paper, everything looked perfect.
It looked perfect, and yet they were spectacularly defrauded. The sources show this shocking contrast. You have these companies operating on trust, paying an extremely high price to a known international supplier, Campo Research in Singapore.
They were paying for quality.
They were paying top dollar. Get this, we're talking 60 to 70,000 NT dollars per kilogram.
Wow.
Now compare that to the cheap industrial Sudan red dye that polluted their product. That stuff costs a few hundred NT dollars per kilogram. They paid a premium for what was potentially industrial waste.
For the law-abiding firms, the actual victims here are the ones bearing the cost.
They're bearing all of it.
Mm.
Massive recalls, the damage to their reputation.
And the alleged culprit, the overseas supplier.
Completely outside Taiwan's legal jurisdiction. They can't be penalized.
Correct.
So the victims are literally footing the bill for the criminals. It just highlights this huge danger of relying on documents alone.
Right, without independent verification.
Exactly. But the fraud wasn't the only problem. The public was also being misled by just terrible scientific miscommunication about the risk itself.
Okay, let's debunk that, the carcinogen myth.
Yeah.
That word gets thrown around, and everyone points to one agency, the IRC.
Yes, the International Agency for Research on Cancer. And this is where critical thinking is so vital. IRC classified Sudan red as Group 3.
And Group 3 sounds scary, but what does it actually mean?
It means it is not classifiable as to its carcinogenicity to humans. In plain English, there's insufficient evidence.
That context changes everything.
It's everything. The Group 3 category includes things we encounter every single day.
Like what?
Things like caffeine, cholesterol, even tea. So to simplify Group 3 to just carcinogen is incredibly misleading. It just creates fear.
And that's before we even talk about how you're exposed to it, right? The dosage and the pathway.
A critical difference. The known risk from Sudan red is from ingestion eating it, where it's metabolized by your gut.
But this case was about cosmetics.
Exactly. Topical use, external. The amount absorbed through the skin is tiny. We're talking micro levels. Even in the highest risk lip products they found, around 50 parts per million, daily exposure is just at the microgram level.
A microgram. So you have to put that in perspective with confirmed Group 1 carcinogens we face every day.
Think about it. You're exposed to hundreds of micrograms of PM 2.5 just by breathing city air. Or think about processed meats. Those are known Group 1 carcinogens.
So this whole incident, it's really less about dangerous lipstick and far more about a broken global supply chain and, frankly, a failure of risk communication here at home.
Precisely. Real knowledge means you have to use critical thinking. You have to measure the actual risk, not just react to a scary label that's missing all the context.
Which leaves us with a final thought. We all panicked over microgram exposure from a Group 3 chemical. If we have that capacity for anxiety, maybe we should be applying that critical thought to the much greater continuous risk from confirmed Group 1 carcinogens that we all encounter every single day. That seems like the real question we should be asking.